Now at 5, Ben Wickler steps down as the state Democratic Party chair. He talks to News 3 about his future plans.
And the man accused of abducting a pregnant teen from Beaver Dam enters his plea as he faces extradition to Wisconsin.
Plus, what impact will tariffs have when it comes to Wisconsin's biggest imports from China? We welcome you, everybody, to News 3 now at 5. A changing of the guard at the top of the Wisconsin Democratic Party.
That's right. Ben Wickler, who has led the party since 2019, announced today he will not run for party chair re-election this year. Our political reporter Will Keneally joins us with more on the impact here. Will.
That's right. I want to take you back to 2019. That was right after the midterms during Trump's first term. Governor Evers won re-election to unseat Republican power in Wisconsin for the first time in 8 years. Now think of some of the recent successes Democrats have had since then. That's all been while Wickler has led the party. So here's a big open question, though, of what happens to the party once Wickler steps down, especially as Wickler brought a significant amount of money to Wisconsin Democratic causes. We spoke with him this afternoon about that impact and what advice he would offer to the person who replaces him.
Commit to the year-round organizing, the year-round communication, the constant focus on winning elections at every level of the ballot, not ignoring the local elections, and in every corner of the state, making sure that no matter how red or blue or purple an area is, we work to earn the support of voters.
Now, we are tracking a handful of candidates who are considering a possibility to replace him. We have only one confirmed, Devin Remiker, who used to run the day-to-day operations of the state party's executive director, a Milwaukee-based Democratic operative Joe Zepecki, Western Wisconsin's William Garcia, and Madison State Senator Kelda Roys. So again, that might shake up a little bit different as the days move forward here.
It's safe to say that this was a surprise today?
I would say so. I think, as Wickler would say, leave while you're on top, right? He and liberals got a pretty significant victory during this April Supreme Court election. So this is certainly a time for him to kind of revisit what he wants to do, especially in Democratic politics. I think fair to say that we will see him around at some point. Just kind of what that looks like will certainly
specific.
Be up to him and up to his family.
Big shoes to fill. What's the process to replace him?
So Democrats will get to select their next state party chair. That's an election that will happen this coming June at their state party convention, kind of like a mini version of the DNC that we saw, last year as well. Kind of we'll have to see. I think certainly the biggest ticket items that Democrats will want to look for is someone who can bring in that money that we've seen Wickler do so far, and somebody who's really willing to take the torch, as Wickler mentioned, pioneering this year-round organizing. We've seen Democrats and liberals organize on many different things. In like August, they'll be out knocking doors on different issues. So I think Democrats will want to see that kind of carry forward as well.
All right. Will Keneally reporting. Will, thank you.
Thank you, Will. Speaking of the Democrats, some Wisconsin Democrats want voters to decide whether outside money can flow into races for elected offices. Democrats made the announcement at a press conference earlier today. They want to add a statewide advisory referendum to the November 2026 ballot. It would have the state assembly throw its support behind a U.S. constitutional amendment to overturn the landmark 2012 Citizens United Supreme Court decision. That decision allowed for unlimited corporate spending in elections.
People should be voting because their voice matters, but they don't feel like their voice matters anymore. They have come to the realization that you have to have a lot of money for your voice to actually count and matter.
Now, this comes just weeks after Wisconsinites voted in the most expensive judicial race in American history, with donations coming from the likes of George Soros and Elon Musk.
A new bill introduced in Wisconsin aims to prevent sextortion. Republican representatives have introduced a bill called Braden's Law. The bill will help combat sextortion, adding harsher penalties. It's named after Braden Bone. His parents say he fell victim to sextortion last month and took his own life. The FBI has warned about the increasingly common scheme, typically targeting underage boys, which has led to an alarming increase in suicides nationwide. The man accused of abducting 17-year-old Sophia Franklin is pleading not guilty and is now voluntarily agreeing to extradition. This morning, Gary Day appeared in a Nebraska courtroom on 2 extradition complaints related to charges in Wisconsin, also in Arkansas. The 40-year-old is facing child abduction charges here in Wisconsin and interference with custody charges in Arkansas after he allegedly kidnapped Sophia Franklin. Day waived extradition for both states, meaning he agreed to be transferred to the jurisdictions without a hearing.
You are ordered held in custody without bond. The authorities in the state of Wisconsin will be notified immediately.
Now, Day is also facing 2 misdemeanor charges in Sarpy County, Nebraska, contributing to the delinquency of a minor and false reporting. He pleaded not guilty. Day will return to court for an extradition and status review on April 24th. 6 people are dead after a helicopter crashed into the Hudson River this afternoon. According to the New York Police Department, 3 adults and 3 children were on board. The helicopter took off from Lower Manhattan and fell into the river near the water's Soul sculpture in Jersey City. The FAA and NTSB are now investigating the crash.
Now to a look at the weather. Clouds pretty socked in today, but the sun will return tomorrow. Alex is out on the weather patio. How warm will it get?
50s. How about 55? We'll try that on for size. We'll be back to normal. Susan in southern Wisconsin tomorrow. A loud Robin behind me saying, Alex, do your weather here quick so I can get back to getting the worms out of our patio here. Here's our temperatures. We'll do highs right around 54 tomorrow on Friday, 60s this weekend. A little bit cooler behind a weather system Sunday going into Monday. We're going to track that in a little bit using Future Track. Kind of a roller coaster ride, but overall temperatures close, if not above normal over the course of the next 10 days. Some showers east of Madison as you head over towards Watertown, Sun Prairie, just south of Columbus, maybe Cottage Grove getting also a couple of raindrops. But that's really the only raindrop that we have here in southern Wisconsin right now. As we take a zoom out here, those raindrops will dwindle, and the skies will clear overnight tonight. For a cool night, it's cool out there right now, 40s and low to mid 40s here in Dane County. Planning your night, you're going to need the jacket, you're going to need maybe a cap and perhaps some gloves if you're going to be out and about tonight, with temperatures eventually getting down all the way to 31 degrees. Again, coming up in Maine weather, we're going to track a beautiful Saturday and some storms on Sunday. We'll use Future Track to show you what that will look like in a little while.
All right, Alex, thank you. President Trump is touting Wednesday's stock market surge after he announced a pause on tariffs. But many of those gains were lost today as investors grappled with tariffs as high as 145% on imported Chinese goods. The president says his tariff policy is bringing in $2 billion a day in new revenue that can offset the tax cuts that are part of a budget deal working its way through Congress.
We call it the great big beautiful bill. It's a beauty. There's never been a bill like this one. We're trying to get it all into one beautiful bill. It's tax cuts, regulation cuts, and many other things. The border, a lot of money for the border.
The House voted 216 to 214 to adopt the budget blueprint that sets the guidelines for House and Senate negotiators to draft a budget bill implementing the president's agenda. Mobile electronics and computers are the United States' top 2 biggest imports from China.
So what will President Trump's new tariffs on the country mean for the phone and also the wallet in your pocket? Arman Rahman reports.
Whether you need a new phone or computer or need to get your old one repaired, experts say every part inside of our electronics is going to get more expensive due to the new tariffs on China.
Might start out as just a piece of metal, and then it goes to this country to be turned into a conductor, and then it comes back in the United States to be replaced into a computer.
And marketing professor Steve Knoll says along the way, there could be 3 different levels of tariffs hitting that product before it hits shelves.
We're talking like a $2 product is now going to cost them $4. So that means they're going to have to raise their prices by 50, 100%.
It leaves smaller businesses like Graphite Apple Repair on Madison's southeast side.
We don't sell the iPhone, but we sell the computers, iPads.
Waiting for Apple to make their move.
We never know what Apple's going to do because they keep everything pretty tight-knit. If they increase their prices, well, we have to increase our prices as well. If they keep them the same, we will also keep ours the same.
In the next year and a half, experts predict iPhones could be as expensive as $2,300.
I heard $3,500.
It really depends on the volume that it increases too. I mean, if it's a 10% increase, we're talking $100 on a $1,000 computer. It all depends on what, I guess, what people want to spend and what their priorities are.
And if you think hanging on to your phone as long as you can and repairing it along the way is the move,
I think they'll be in for a little sticker shock.
It's hard to say on part increases. I mean, that definitely could be affected. So it's kind of a gambling game.
Noel says now more than ever, consumers need to be smart and vigilant.
Businesses that are unethical could absolutely take advantage of all this tariff confusion and artificially raise prices and blame it on the government's uncertainty. And that's going to hurt the consumer.
Reporting in Madison, Armand Rahman, News 3 Now.
Now, Noel expects the tariffs to hit smaller businesses harder, so he encourages consumers to buy local. Well, Amazon CEO says shoppers can likely expect some prices to rise due to the ongoing global trade war. Andy Jassy told CNBC the online retailer's network of third-party sellers will pass that cost on to consumers, adding that Amazon is doing everything it can to try and keep prices low for customers. Jassy said Amazon has done some strategic forward inventory buys, and so far the company hasn't seen changes in customer behavior yet in a meaningful way. U.S. Postal Service trying to raise prices. The proposed rates include a 5-cent increase for first-class Forever stamps from 73 to 78 cents. The price to send domestic postcards would jump from 56 to 62 cents. Also, the cost to send metered letters and international letters and postcards would increase by 5 cents. Now, if approved, the new prices would take effect on July 13th. Investors cheered when President Trump paused most of the tariffs yesterday, but the largest bank in the U.S. says it'll be short-lived. J.P. Chase issued a new report sticking with its forecast that there is a 60% chance that the country is heading into a recession. The bank's economists say the 10% universal tariffs still in place are still a large shock. The massive 145% tariff on China is also a problem. J.P. Morgan sees the U.S. war on trade as far from over.
Americans closely watching the cost of everything saw inflation ease last month. The Consumer Price Index shows prices rose 2.4% in March from a year earlier, although that's down from February, and it's the first monthly drop for prices in nearly 5 years, with airfare and hotel costs down, and one big contributing factor, a break at the pump.
There is downward pressure on gasoline prices. That does provide some budget relief for commuters in particular, but other areas of the household budget, staples, continue to go up at a faster than desired pace.
Groceries jumped 0.5% in March, and that's without the potential effects from President Trump's tariff policies.
Still ahead at 5, what you can do to keep your kids safe while swimming this summer.
And lawmakers on Capitol Hill weigh whether or not to end daylight saving time, why advocates say the practice can be deadly. That's next.
And market volatility continues on Wall Street. The Dow giving back almost half of yesterday's gains, down more than 1,000 today. The Nasdaq gives back 738. S&P 500 falls 189 points.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Senate lawmakers held a hearing today on where the U.S. should continue to change the clock and whether they should continue to change the clock twice a year.
Committee members pointed to research suggesting that the biannual ritual has a major impact on the economy and public health, leading to higher rates of heart attacks, strokes, and even car accidents. Witnesses advocated for ending the time-changing practice.
I suggest Congress establish a firm date, 2027, to permanently end the clock changing nationwide. States would then have ample time to decide if they want to remain in daylight time or opt out and pick standard time. They wouldn't have the option to continue the deadly twice-yearly switching.
President Trump also expressed support for ending daylight saving time back in December.
It is a leading cause of death for children in the U.S. The CDC says every year there are about 4,000 fatal unintentional drownings. Doctors say if your child cannot swim 2 lengths of the pool without some help, parents should be within arm's reach of the child at all times. Now, once the child is a competent swimmer, parents can graduate to eyes reach supervision. And if a parent can't swim, doctors add it's never too late to learn.
Remember, because you are your child's best lifeguard, it's so important that you also have those swim skills.
Medical experts say there should be a 4-sided self-latching fence around any pool you visit. A Coast Guard approved life jacket should also be worn. It's also important to know how to do CPR in the event of an emergency. Milder weather on the way for the weekend. Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington is here with a full story.
And I'm here to give you the first farmer's forecast. How about that? The first one of the season. Look at this, 61 for a high temperature on Saturday. The wind's light. So when you have light winds, 60-degree temperatures, plenty of sunshine, I would call that a nice spring day. At least that's my opinion. And behind me here too, 66 on Sunday. That's going to be mild. But we will have a chance of thunderstorms on Sunday. We're going to track those together here in just a couple moments. Right now, our live Mallard Sky Cam, part of our first Warren Weather Cam. Looked like we got a little practice going on right now. The reason why I'm showing the cam is because it's cloudy, and at Warner Park, you're pretty close to some showers that are off towards the north and towards the east up along 151. These are the only showers right now really in southern Wisconsin, right along I-94, pushing towards the Watertown area. Zooming on out, that's it. The rest of southern Wisconsin is pretty much high and dry, and that's really the way it's going to be for the most part tonight. Skies clear out when you don't see the white by the time we get to 2 o'clock in the morning. That means the clouds are gone. That means heat goes out to space. It'll be a cool night tonight, but as we start off Friday, you don't see any clouds. That means we'll start off with the sun tomorrow. Clouds filtering in a little bit as we get into the afternoon, but that's filtered sunshine. Notice how it has a couple of holes in it, and that means it will have a little bit of sunshine and a few clouds as we go into Friday afternoon. We'll do 31 tonight, 33 in Lone Rock, 32 in Camp Douglas, 32 in Janesville, and 34 in Platteville. High temperatures here on Friday, mid-50s. If you look up here at the top, that's where we should be. Average high is about 55, so we're going to do average for Friday. I would call that above average, considering some of the weather we've had this week on cool, showery weather. Going to be returned with mild stuff Friday going into Saturday, but then showers, a couple thunderstorms enter the forecast, about a 40% coverage on those showers and storms on Sunday. Here's what it looks like. I think we're going to have a couple thunderstorms or at least some showers to start off Sunday morning, perhaps lasting through that 4 to 6 a.m. time frame. Then we have a break, and then we have a couple more scattered showers and thunderstorms popping up along a cold front that will sweep through Sunday night. Not everyone's going to see these storms on Sunday, but as I've mentioned in our 4 o'clock newscast, when thunder roars, go indoors. That's a saying you should always keep in mind, and that's another piece of knowledge as part of Severe Weather Awareness Week from me to you. Clouds again as we go towards Monday with a few showers on the backside of that weather system. Tuesday, cooler behind that weather system as well. Some indications are after a weather system late next week, we could have a warming trend, warmer than the 60s. That would be nice. We'll keep an eye on that. And as part of Severe Weather Awareness Week, the tornado safety is of utmost importance. We're going to have another tornado drill statewide here at about 6:45 p.m. If you don't have a basement, the center part of your house is always the best place for protection, but if you do have a basement, head down to the basement anytime I cut in with a tornado warning. Susan, Eric?
All right, Alex, thank you. Still to come at 5, a Wisconsin firefighter takes his training to a new level, how he's supporting fellow first responders families while taking to the world stage.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Strength, discipline, and professionalism. That's what one Wisconsin first responder says it takes to be a good firefighter. But the way he trains might look a little different from others.
Bree Bilak shows us how he put his strength to the test on the world stage.
Meet Dylan West, a husband, father of 4, firefighter, paramedic, and an avid competitor.
If somebody told me that they were good at something, I wanted to try my hand at it to see if I was better than them.
He started out his competitive career in powerlifting, but grew out of the sport. Until one night, he saw an ad for the competition on social media. From there on, it was a no-brainer.
Dylan's a very hard worker. If he sets a goal for himself, he's going to achieve that goal. No matter what it takes on his end, he will achieve it.
Endless hours in this basement gym and the YMCA, Dylan trains for months in advance of competition. Log cleaning carries, sandbag steeplechase, or shield carry for distance. The training may sound unusual, but
it applies heavily to our job. I don't think it's any secret that a lot of our job involves lifting people up off the floor. And it's just the way it is. And if you're used to lifting up 700 pounds, your back's probably going to be fine when you try to lift up somebody that weighs 200 pounds.
The training not only keeps the 34-year-old strong physically, but mentally.
If you can find a healthy way, a healthy avenue to release any pent-up stress you might have from traumatic calls or whatever.
This year, Dylan placed 12th, but with support from his wife, kids, and the department, training for next year has already begun.
My support systems all around are just amazing.
The competition is also a fundraiser. Dylan said a lot of the charities they support help families of firefighters who have fallen on hard times. And we'll be right back with a final check of your First Warn forecast. Stay with us.
At what point does it cost less to raise chickens than it does to buy eggs at the store? We're checking to see if chicken math actually adds up.
And what's in a name? In our Eye on America, Mark Strassman reports from Louisiana to navigate the choppy waters of geography and politics. And that's tonight on the CBS Evening News.
And then coming up at 6, Madison Police Department is hosting another active shooter training. We're taking a look inside the class during our next newscast at 6.
3D mapping is revealing some of the secrets of the infamous prison island of Alcatraz. VCTO Labs used a $100,000 drone, a robot dog, and cutting-edge laser technology.
It's pretty cool. The drones explored sewer lines, cisterns, and the power plant smokestack at the former prison off the coast of San Francisco. The mapping revealed parts of Alcatraz that haven't been seen in more than a century.
Very cool.
Yeah, it is.
I've never been out there. I'd love to learn more about that island out there. And Alex is back. Final check of the forecast.
Good stuff. We got good stuff in the forecast. A little cool tonight, but all but some 50s. Sunny skies as we go into Friday, so we've paid our dividends, as I've mentioned. Some indications we could get into the 70s the following weekend. How about that?
It looks good for the farmers market,
yes,
too.
It does.
Really
yeah.
good.
We're back in a half-hour news for you now at 6. The CBS Evening News is next.